Well, hi there everyone, Baryonyx5 here and welcome back to Feed the Beast Monster, where last time we were down here making this. This is the start of our big reactor. You can see that since last time I have actually taken the staircase which was here out and put in the reinforcements all the way around. I've also put in a load of lamps. There's a few bits which are still drying because, I don't know, they just never ever want to dry. I think the ceiling went a bit glitchy there. And I've also actually put reinforced stone in all the way around here as well because I thought that this bit probably ought to be a bit reinforced too. So back to the big reactors. If you didn't see last episode, we have just built this framework. We have a power tap, a computer port, the controller and the access ports around here. So now all that we have to do is fill in the middle. So let's go and get to it. So what time of day is it? It is evening, I think. The sun is nicely setting over there. Let's actually have a quick fly up, because I always like to just have a quick fly up and a look around my castle. It is a nice view, especially with the sun setting, I always think. Right, let's go out through here, into here. Let's fail at getting through doors because doors have always confused me. And let's get back into here because what we want to do now is get out of here, get into here and get back into some big reactors. Okay, so we've built the entire outside framework. What we need to do now is actually put the area where the fuel will go in. You decide when you build a big reactor where you want the fuel rods to actually go, and where you place them will affect how efficient the machine is. So here we go, these are the yellorium fuel rods. They are quite easy, graphite bars, iron and the yellorite. You can see how most of these things are all exactly the same. Now I'm not really going to want a whole stack of these, so let's just make up about half a stack. Clicking ever so slowly, and there we go. And whilst we are here, let's grab that in case it doesn't put it in and just check how much graphite we've got. We have got a whopping 54, which is probably going to be enough to be fair. Now on top of each fuel rod, what you require is, let me just find it. I am failing to find it. A control rod. Where are the control rods? Are they somewhere else? There's it is. That's the control rod. The control rod is just graphite, casings, and all of these bits. So, was there something I was missing? The yellorium. So, how many of those can we actually make? About 10. 10 is not going to be enough. How many of those can we make? A further 24 before we run out of graphite. Charcoal is what we need. We need lots and lots of charcoal downstairs being smelted off into graphite. Although, to be honest, I'll take any excuse to come and have a wander down through my factory because I like it down here a lot. Pop those back in there. And I believe we should probably have a stack in here. We do. So take that out and pop those in, and we're going to get up a good stack and a bit anyway. Right, use these to make some control rods, which are up here. So how many can we get now? 13. So about how many am I going to want? I'm going to want about 17, I believe. Okay, just a few more. I should have plenty in here. Bop, bop, bop. And there we go. 18. That should, I think, be enough. So let's hop back through into here and put these in. Now the thing with these control rods is that if they are very far spaced apart, they won't be very efficient because they need to be close to each other to be efficient. However, if there's too many packed too closely together, they will start to overheat. And if they start to overheat, then they will become very inefficient. So there is a bit of what we might commonly call a trade-off. So to start with, what I'm going to do is pop them in like this, and it looks like they actually give off light, which is pretty cool. So what I'm doing is making 3 rows. Just like that. So these are my individual fuel rods. You can control them from here. You can put the control rods in and out to make them work more or less efficiently. But obviously we have gaps here. What are we going to do with the gaps? Well, you don't actually leave them open, although you can do. What we are going to do is actually fill them. You fill them with things to take the heat away. So let us go and attempt to find something to fill those gaps with. Wow, I fail at doors. Seriously. Right, what do we have which we could use? We have diamonds. One thing which is extremely good at conducting heat away is the ever expensive diamond. And we have so many diamonds now. That is quite amazing. Another thing which is really efficient at doing this is molten ender. Liquid enderium, or however you call it. Which is what we are going to do here. We are going to get some buckets and fill them with molten ender. Can I just really quickly check if there is a way to actually make up ender? Because you know what, it has been so long that I have forgotten. I do believe there is a way to make ender pearl dust. You can make it... No, you can't, can you? Well, this is why we have a mob trap. Guys and girls, cats and kittens and all those silly phrases. So here we have some resonant ender coming in, and we are going to use it to start to fill up a few buckets. Whilst we are waiting for that to happen, I am going to head down here into our mob trap and see how to get stuck in a hedge, because that would be awesome fun. Right, let's head on down here, back into our mob trap area. Remember this, it has been a while since we were down here, and this is where it comes in useful. How much? We've got a bit of mob essence in this here tank. Do we have? We've got 3 ender pearls in there. So let's get cooking. Enderman. Now the one thing we have to do when we're using this machine with Enderman is not look at them, because they will teleport out really quickly. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There we go. I was wondering why they weren't being killed. So now we can just sit here happily waiting and watch them all dying. Which is, to be honest, much more fun than it should be. I love doing that. So we've got 7 ender pearls in there at the minute. I'm just going to take those. There's probably more in the pipeline coming through. But let us, for now, dash up here. Actually, can I just leave that running at will? I don't particularly need to run back up the stairs. I don't particularly need to stand right next to it to work. I don't know if they've got more chance of teleporting away if I'm not stood right next to them, but to be honest, I don't care. I'm just going to leave it running and see what happens, because I have never tried it. Right, let's go back through here. And we can just pop a load of ender pearls into this machine to be converted up. We've got 1 ton. Ooh. A bucket of resonant ender takes a lot of ender pearls, doesn't it? Is it a full? Is it 5,000? 6,000? Blimey. Does it take a full stack to get a bucket? Jeez. Well, we can take that 1 bucket out. That's something. And let's take it back on through here and put stuff into our shiny new big reactor. So here we have the gaps which are between these fuel rods. And into these gaps I am going to place these diamond blocks. The reason I'm using the diamond blocks is that each different type of material has different properties in big reactors. The diamond block is really good at conducting away heat, but it's also really good at letting the, we will call them neutrinos, because I think that's what the game actually calls them. I'll grab these. Through. So these realise that they are close to each other because this block doesn't block them knowing that, if that makes sense. If you compare that with the ender bucket, the resonant ender actually, it is really good at insulating for keeping it cold, but it stops them knowing they're close to each other. So if I put it between these two, that and that wouldn't know they were close to each other, so they wouldn't interact and be more efficient. I hope that makes sense. With that one between, they realise they're really close to each other and they interact, and they're really efficient, which is what I want. We can now just cover over the top of these then. And I'm also going to plop down an ender bucket. Just down there like that, a bit of resonant ender. I don't know if I've ever had resonant ender leaking all over the place before, but it is great fun because you can do that. Which I think is great. It teleports you away at random. Right, let's go and see what has happened on down in the old mob trap. It is really handy having this mob trap, especially for ender pearls, more so I think than for any single other thing in the game. Turn you off a sec and let's see what has happened. If anything, there is an enderman in there. This has dropped down to 3,800 and we have got a full stack of ender pearls, and that is apparently it. So I think I am going to have to leave this running for a few minutes, go off camera for a few minutes and just let this thing all fill up and get all these ender buckets which I need, because I only have 1 more ender bucket. So I'm going to let this work through and I shall see you in a few. Okay, so welcome back, and as you can see, this is all completely full of ender. I have actually put an entire bucket of ender in every single space. I don't actually think you need to do that as long as there's ender flowing around it. But to be honest, I spent a lot of time making all those mob traps and things, and so I am going to do it, come what may. So I am now going to just fill in the top of these things. Just go around like this, And you can see it has converted itself into a multi-block. Brilliant. And if I click on this now, you can see the reactor controlling. You can see it is switched off. It is at 0 degrees C. It's not producing any RF because that's what it produces. This is the amount of millibuckets it uses, which is a millibucket of the yellorium, which is its fuel source. And this is a measure of how irradiated the core is. High levels of radiation reduce fuel burnup. You can set it to activate, deactivate, and all of those sorts of things. So what are we going to do next? Well, let us head back through and into here, because there's a couple more things which I want to do. Like, for example, get through the door. Now I have built a computer port into that reactor, which obviously means I'm going to want to use a computer. So let us set to and actually make a computer. Computers are of course nice and easy. I don't want a monitor, I want a computer. It is just stone, redstone and a glass pane. I've made tons of those to make turtles. I also want this. This is an advanced monitor. It is made from gold around glass panes and you get 4 of them, so they're pretty cheap. Okay, let us go and plug these in. Let us get one more thing actually, which would be really rather useful. Yellorium, the fuel source. I've already got 61 on me, which I shall trade up actually for 2 stacks because I'm not entirely sure exactly how much this is going to actually eat. So let us head on down here, and here is our reactor. So first of all, our computer. Our computer is going to sit on the computer port. And I am going to build a monitor above it. If you've never used monitors before, they basically are really difficult to shift click on if you're flying. Really difficult. Okay, let us use our spare reactor casings. I could build another little reactor over here if I really wanted to. There we go, I've built a big 4x4 monitor. That should do nicely. It's not necessarily the prettiest thing in the world, but it does work. It is going to display for us information. Let's also go into here. This is my access port. Now I can set this up to automatically have things put into it. I could connect it up to a tesseract up to there if I wanted and have yellorium automatically be put into it, but to be honest, it burns it pretty darn slowly. I am simply, let's just check, eject fuel, eject waste, inlet and outlet modes. We don't need any of those because we're doing it all manually. So 64. Okay, so this is a bit messed up, so that is actually where that is. It is the texture pack. So this thing will hold 60 fuel. You can see there's 4 more just sitting there, so I can just top that up to 64. This thing is now full of fuel. There are 15 fuel rods with a max capacity of 60,000 millibuckets, so that is 60 bars of fuel. It is full, there is no waste. So this thing is all set up and it is all ready to go. The one other thing I should perhaps note is that if you can read that, if I switch that off, this thing does have an internal energy buffer. It will store energy, and as you can see, it will store a lot of energy. That is 10 million RF, which this thing will store all by itself without an external battery. If I come up here, I can show you that these resonant energy cells store 50,000, and these ones, isn't it, a redstone energy cell, these store 10 million. 50 million if I said that wrong. So this thing has an internal battery the same size as a redstone energy cube. So this is all set and it is all ready to go on. But unfortunately guys, that is the end of this episode. You'll just have to come back again next time for the grand switching on. So I do hope you enjoyed this episode. Do like and subscribe if you did, and most importantly, I do hope to see you once again next time. Thank you and goodbye.